Okay, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier. This is a retake. I don't know if I'll put the previous video up. I was rudely interrupted. There was a looming sheriff officer, not really bothering me, but just kind of hover fucking me. Of course, I was parked in a place that perhaps he wanted to be. I had just filled my wonderful tires with air, and I was just kind of sitting there because no one else was around for hours or just minutes. And then this cop just kind of popped in. So everything's fine. I'm just letting him do his thing. I'm doing my thing. And I'm going to discuss Arnold Schwarzenegger's book, which I listened to the audio version. Be useful, okay? You might be wondering, Mike, is this safe to be doing this Mike's Instant Movie Review? Yes, the streets are abandoned. I am going to turn the light off so you won't be able to see my shiny forehead, but you'll hear my wonderful voice, okay? So, yes, it's darkness, folks. You can deal with it. You can hear my voice like a bellowing bush in the wind. This book, this audio book, Be Useful, I think it's titled, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I have mixed feelings about it. I think what I really respect and enjoyed about the book was the beginning. Because Arnold, what's interesting, my favorite part of the book was Arnold kind of teases us by telling us how he screwed up his whole life. Basically, in case you don't know, I believe the revelation is that Arnold had knocked up his housekeeper. He had this beautiful, high-powered wife who was on the Maria, right? Wasn't that her name? She was like a Kennedy chick. She was a news anchor, kind of like a late 80s icon news anchor, very attractive woman. She had good posture and everything. And I haven't seen pictures of this housekeeper, but people have kind of said she wasn't the belle of the ball, so to speak. But yet Arnold could not keep his Schwarzenegger in his trousers, and he basically afflicted this woman with his seed. He knocked up the housekeeper. The housekeeper kept the child, kept the baby, with good Republican values, did not abort the baby. She had Arnold's baby. I guess the kid became a teenager, as kids tend to do. And I guess Arnold was on the hook for child support. I don't know if he has a relationship with this son. You know what I mean? I don't know. So I remember that whole scandal coming out. I think it was after Arnold left the governor's office of the state of California. I want to say it was around the time that was it Terminator 3? Was that the last one that Arnold was in? You know, with the hot blonde chick, the whatever the fuck. What was her name? Christina Loken or some such thing. I saw her recently pop up in something. She still looks pretty good. So, whatever the fuck. I mean, but basically Arnold says, I'm not going to discuss my personal life. I'm not going to drag my family further through the mud. Okay. Rise above. So basically he doesn't give us the dirty details of his personal faux pas out of respect to my family. And then we basically just, in my opinion, Arnold, no offense, because I do still like Arnold quite a bit, we get into a very, in my opinion, run-of-the-mill, inspirational self-help book. If you've listened to Tony Robbins, Matthew McConaughey's doing his thing now. All these assholes tell the same 20 stories. The colonel didn't, he sold his chicken recipe. He said, I'll give you my chicken recipe for free, but I want a quarter for every piece of chicken you sell. And he did this when he was 95 years old. You know what I mean? Like all these asshole motivational self-help gurus, they all have the same stories. Napoleon Hill, took a shit and he wiped his ass with toilet paper and he had a wonderful revelation. Okay. We've heard all these stories. I mean, I think it was, I would say 15 years ago, I was kind of on this, kick of those type of guys, and Napoleon Hill's, a fine friend of mine got me a Napoleon Hill book, and I went down the rabbit hole of all these assholes with their inspirational stories of the Rockefellers and all these other people that are probably New World Order elitists or whatever the fuck. But I mean, I remember, reading Ayn Rand and getting into all this horse shit. And all these things are fine. I mean, if you watch my wonderful film, The Nature of the Flame, on 1 Minute of Camera Films, that was filmed around that time. I was in my phase of gathering knowledge from the cosmos. But eventually, all these self-help assholes start to sound very similar. And Arnold, no offense, the best thing about his audiobook is listening to him, pronounce words. I mean, he really does. I mean, I like Arnold Schwarzenegger as a person, as a speaker. I think he's terribly fun to listen to because he's just, I don't know. And the way that he introduces his book is kind of fun. He's like, I'm in my home studio. If you hear my little pig oinking. He tells us all these funny little things that are going on in his life. So I liked that. I'm trying to remember the name of his bride, Maria. I guess they're divorced now, whatever the fuck. But I mean, I did like listening to Arnold tell stories. I just don't think the stories were that particularly unique. I think in the self-help or inspirational space, if you want to call it that, assholes, I feel like, this is really not that good. Jimmy Kimmel, is it Kimmel or the other one? Jimmy Fallon, he's the one I don't like. Jimmy Fallon, unless, of course, he put me on his fucking show, then I'd love him. But Jimmy Fallon, basically was saying, oh my God, your book is so great, Arnold. But Fallon's full of shit. He's always sucking someone's ass. The worst thing ever is John Cena on Jimmy Fallon. I don't even call it The Tonight Show because I don't feel like Jimmy... Oh, there's a cat in the street. He's jumping around. I don't feel that Jimmy Fallon has earned The Tonight Show lineage, in my opinion. You know what I mean? It's kind of like saying The Rock was a WCW world champion. And yes, I have started to watch the WCW documentary that The Rock somehow came up with, or whatever the fuck. I will probably review that on One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan. As far as this audiobook goes, look, if I have Audible, I'm so far behind. I've purchased all these Audible books. I never have time to listen to them. I guess I do have the time. It's just, there's so many things to listen to. There's so many things to do in this wonderful world. There's always some podcast about some murder that I want to listen to instead. So it's like I just have a backlog of things to listen to. And I can't get around to all of it. And then at times I just want to listen to music, or I just want to listen to, as Simon and Garfunkel would say, the sounds of silence, the sounds of my own thoughts. So I can't listen to everything all at once. And then people are always sending me things. People are always tagging me in their fucking little media posts. Like I'm supposed to read every goddamn story that they want me to read. Hey, assholes, I have my own interests. I don't need you tagging me to tell me that I should give a shit about something you give a shit about, because I'm too busy giving a shit about what I give a shit about. So please, enough of the tagging. I've been tagged enough for one lifetime, assholes. I'll read what I want to read. I don't need... The worst is on Facebook. Some asshole tagged you and every other asshole they know. Oh, thanks. So I'm just amongst the many assholes. You put it at everyone, and now I have to give a shit about your problems or your wonderful article about something that I don't give a shit about. So anyway, just a word to the fucking wise, or the wiseless, as I should say. But yeah, the Arnold book was fun. I mean, it's a good listen. I don't, like I said, I don't feel like it's the top of the charts, even in the spectrum of self-help or motivation or whatever the fuck, self-improvement. I mean, really, if you want the best self-improvement shit, years ago, going way back, I invested quite a bit of money at the time in this, Tony Robbins 27-disc fiddle-fuck supercard thing. It was 13 audio CDs, I believe 3 video DVDs, I should say. 24, 25 audio CDs, 3 DVDs of Tony Robbins speeches with live audience members. That was a good value. You know what I mean? I think I got a Father's Day special. It was 40% off or some such horse shit. I enjoyed it. But is my life, I mean, I guess it is. I mean, my life is somewhat better, but, you know. But this Arnold thing, I don't know. I think it's just, you have to just listen to it. And if you just kind of resign yourself, like, okay, Arnold doesn't really have a unique spin on this thing. He really doesn't, no offense, Arnold. But if you want to hear Arnold's voice, his charming voice, for 2 hours or 4 hours, whatever the fuck it is, it's fine. I do have a quick Arnold Schwarzenegger story I'll share with you fine folks, since you got to the 10-minute mark of this video, or whatever the fuck. Picture it, Newport, Rhode Island. I believe it was Easter or some such holiday, and my mom and I happened to be there for a family get-together for, I believe it was Easter, maybe Thanksgiving. And we went into this shop that, oddly enough, was open. So I want to say it was Thanksgiving. It was a clothing store, kind of like a, I don't know if you'd call it a consignment shop, but it was like an interesting store. And they had like this pair of I believe it was Doc Martens, really nice shoes that had like the American flag kind of symbolized, like not like the stars and bars, but like a couple of stars and then a stripe and some such thing. But basically like a very American themed pair of shoes. I think they were like half a size smaller than what I took at the time. But basically the proprietor of the person just working there told us an anecdote, and maybe they were full of horse shit, but they basically told us that Arnold Schwarzenegger, who had been filming the film True Lies in Newport, Rhode Island, and yes, that is true, the Jamie Lee Curtis film, which I don't think they ever did a sequel of, did they? Or they did a remake or something, but basically Arnold Schwarzenegger had been in Rhode Island to film this movie, True Lies, in Newport, Rhode Island. He came into this store. He saw the American shoes. He was so impressed and enthralled because he loves America. He tried the shoes on, and the people thought he was going to buy these shoes. And then he had like this thing where he's like, I'm not a natural born citizen. I should not own these shoes. So he did not buy the shoes because he felt like, although he loved the shoes, so was the story anyway, he did not feel that he should own them because he was not American. But he did try them on. And I was like, you know what, those shoes are great, but I'm not gonna wear them out. You know what I mean? Like they weren't terribly comfortable. They were, I think, like I said, half a size too small. But my mother, you know, she insisted, she really did, because I was kind of like, hey, I like the fact that I tried them on. I don't really need them. But she bought them. She wanted me to have them, so I had them for a long time. They were nice. I can't tell you where they are now, folks. Look, I've been through a lot, okay? Moves, everything. So I don't know where those wonderful shoes are, but at one point, for many years, I had them. So anyway, but yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger's book, it's fine. It's, like I said, I'm not trying to shoot a stick on it. I'm just telling you, it's not like, oh my God, this is the greatest book ever. Holy shit, how can I live without this book? It's more like, oh yeah, that book's kind of cool. But I'm just saying, like, if you have expectations that are kind of like, yeah, you could listen to this book or purchase this book, I think probably the best person who would get something out of this book is probably the person, maybe someone who moved to the USA, like Arnold, like someone from a foreign country who takes great inspiration from Arnold's success. Or if you've never listened to an inspirational self-help book before, you might dig this. I think probably the best of that was kind of the anti-motivator guy. If you recall, I was a big fan of the Ultimate Warrior renditions, or his take on the whole self-help stuff, which was very kind of like anti-self-help. And you might be getting your panties in a tissy, Ultimate Warrior this, hashtag that. Okay, you win. He's dead. Congratulations. But I liked his videos a lot, assholes, so take it for what it's worth. But anyway, folks, that's my review. Arnold Schwarzenegger's book starts off strong. I love hearing his voice. The actual content, the actual lessons, just kind of generic shit. Mike